Specification number 4 states, construct and use dichotomous keys based on identifiable features. The term, dichotomous, refers to the two options, or branches, provided at each step, where you choose between two possible features. This process continues until a final identification is made. Using dichotomous keys allows for an organized and systematic approach to identifying species based on the distinct characteristics. These keys are structured in pairs of contrasting characteristics, beginning with broad, general features and narrowing down to more specific ones. And, as you follow the key, you make decisions based on observable traits, leading to the correct identification of the organism. Dichotomous keys are tools used to identify unknown organisms by guiding users through a series of questions. These questions begin with broad characteristics and gradually become more specific, helping to narrow down the possibilities. For example, when classifying an animal, you might start with a question like, 4 limbs, or, fins but no limbs. Based on your answer, you continue through more specific questions until the organism is correctly identified. This method works for various classifications, such as genus or species, and sometimes requires attention to less obvious features when key characteristics are not easily visible. By following these step-by-step choices, dichotomous keys provide an organized approach to identifying organisms accurately. A dichotomous key works by guiding you through a series of yes/no questions to classify an organism. Starting with whether the animal is a vertebrate, each question presents contrasting characteristics, leading you to further questions or directly to the classification, such as mammal, bird, or fish. For example, when classifying a dog, you would confirm it's a vertebrate and has fur, leading to the conclusion that it's a mammal. This tool helps identify unknown organisms by narrowing down options through paired questions. Likewise, this dichotomous key helps classify vertebrates by guiding you through a series of yes/no questions about their physical traits. It starts by asking if the organism is a vertebrate. If not, the key isn't used. If it is a vertebrate, the next question checks for fur. If yes, the organism is classified as a mammal, and if no, it moves to the next step, asking whether the organism has feathers. If it does, it's classified as a bird. If not, the key asks if the organism has dry or moist skin. Dry skin indicates a reptile, while moist skin leads to the final question, whether the organism has scales. Scales mean it's a fish, while no scales classify it as an amphibian. This series of questions helps accurately identify the organism based on its characteristics. Let's go through another dichotomous key step by step, this time for classifying insects. The key begins by asking if the organism is an insect. If not, the key is not used. If it is an insect, the first question divides them based on whether they have large wings or no and small wings. If the insect has large wings, it's directly identified as a butterfly. If it has no or small wings, the next question asks whether it has very long rear legs or shorter rear legs. If it has long rear legs, the next step checks the position of its antenna. Antenna in front of the head identify a mosquito, and antenna to the rear identify a grasshopper. If the insect has shorter rear legs, the key asks if it has a horned or unhorned head. A horned head identifies a rhino beetle, while an unhorned head leads to the final question, whether it has small or large eyes. Small eyes identify a termite soldier, while large eyes identify a beetle. This is how this key uses a series of paired questions to systematically identify different types of insects based on their physical characteristics.